Hi, this is Bob at Local Market Traffic. I'd like to show you a couple things about responsive design and why you would want this. So first of all, what is responsive design? Well, there's a couple of key factors that you need to take into account. One factor or one element is called the viewport, and that means what size of the device that the person is looking at your site in. So whether they're on a huge desktop monitor, a laptop, a tablet, or a smartphone, the amount of space that they actually have available to them in pixels is called the viewport. Okay, the different iterations between the widths that you get is called a breakpoint, and so you'll see when I slide my browser down, you'll see the different breakpoints that we're talking about. And then there's other things you can do regarding a media query where you can actually ask the browser what size is my viewport, and then you can actually resize fonts and pictures and stuff directly related to that size. So let's take a look real quick. So this is on my laptop right now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this window a little bit narrower, and so right now you're not seeing a lot going on. This viewport is only changing a little bit, and so these elements are resizing just slightly. And this, by the way, is a WordPress template, so you can certainly do great responsive design on standard WordPress templates. There's nothing wrong with that approach at all. Okay, as I narrow this down even further, you'll see some things change. So now I've got quite a bit narrower sidebars and content area, but you also notice that the menu dropped down. Okay, so in the original menu, we've got menu items, and then as we go to that next level, now you've got this very familiar box with the three lines on it, and everybody knows from mobile Facebook, from Twitter, everything, things that they use, that means menu, and so they can easily still access all the menu items. Okay, as we get even narrower, you'll see eventually the sidebar drops away, and now you've got more content area, but everything is still available down below. It all rewrapped down below so that my sidebars are repositioned. Okay, and as we get even smaller, you'll see how these social icons have jumped in and now are centered, and so that's all part of the media query. It used to be left justified here, and now we're going into a center justified. Okay, so let's get back out of that thing. Here's a couple of examples of some sites that I've done that we've converted to a mobile-friendly site. So this is a e-commerce site, and this was based on a really old design. This is basically the old tables design in HTML. Okay, and there's a couple of critical things about this. This site was very, very popular, getting a lot of visitors, and since it's an e-commerce site, this is how they make their living. So you don't want to break a site like this, so you need to approach it in a little bit more incremental fashion. Okay, and so what we've done with this is we've retained the HTML format, but we applied elements from Twitter's Bootstrap framework. Okay, so this is something that is really neat, has a lot of design elements, and is very responsive. Okay, and so we went from this site to this. Okay, and then this site now you'll see still has a lot of the same content on it, but we've added some really neat things, some slideshows, and those were all part of the Bootstrap framework. And it has the responsiveness here, where you see where we get the smaller menu when you get to a tablet size. Notice the media query that I did on this, so that these items in the header would fit. So these got a little bit smaller. The menu itself got smaller. I even dropped out one of the calls to action up there because people on a tablet or a phone are probably not going to do live chat. So I've just dropped that out of there. Okay. And as we get a little bit narrower, you'll see now the sidebar is gone, the menu system on the side is gone, and then notice that, see how big the H1 font is here, and as we get a little bit narrower around the viewport, I can step that down to another size so it's not so dominant. Okay, and so this website is completely responsive all the way down to the smartphone size, which is basically 480 pixels wide, and there's some other really cool elements to this site that came out of the Bootstrap framework. Okay, and here's one more example. This is an old HTML site. Now, this is really not that bad, and the customer wanted to retain as much of this design as possible. So what we actually did was we went with a WordPress installation with the 2010 theme and just used the same design elements from it. And I'm sorry, not 2010, but 2012. And 2012 is a very responsive theme. So of course the important thing is you take their theme and then you have to design it with a child theme so that you don't destroy it each time you do an update. And so this is mostly responsive. We still working on this menu a little bit, but it's getting to be very usable. This is a current project, so there's still some things that are being addressed on this. So that's the quick rundown. Remember the important things. Viewport is the size of the viewing display that the customer is using. Breakpoint are those different steps where you can actually make drastic changes, and they're basically at the 480 and the 600 pixel range approximately, and then over 600 range. And then the other thing is the media queries, where you can actually resize things. Notice how the logo is getting smaller there as I get smaller and smaller. Okay, that's it for today.